50 years, the one tournament. I think there's no other tournament in Australia that can say that for itself.
I never thought it'd survive 50 years. Even Doeberl died a few years ago, you know, and it still grow up stronger and stronger and stronger.
We were determined to keep it going and to keep the Doeberl name, and nobody ever suggested that we shouldn't keep the Doeberl name, even though sponsors were happy for it, you know, because of the historic connection.
We set the foundation, yeah, but that's still going, yeah. It's amazing. It is amazing.
The 50th Doeberl Cup showed us some new faces. Karthik Ian from India started like a train, 5.5 out of 6, then he got stopped by Adam Horvath, then he won again, looked like he was going to get a Grandmaster result and ultimately lost in the last round. A really tragic finish. The 50th was also the year we first had a real invasion of goods Eastern European Grandmasters, and they did really well. We'd had Indian players before then who'd done exceptionally well.
Players from overseas weren't dreamt of in those early days of the start of the Doeberl Cup.
Well, I think the standard is a lot higher. We've got Grandmasters today. In those days there were no Grandmasters.
Bill Egan's book on the Doeberl Cup is very interesting. He wrote articles for us, and one that he'd written was that there had been a total of 6 overseas Grandmasters in 43 years of the Doeberl Cup.
O2C taking it over has been a fantastic thing to happen.
Since we've taken it over, I think there's been 27 overseas Grandmasters arrived. We looked at it and said if it's going to grow, it needs to link in with the international community in a professional and managed way, and we're now getting more requests than we can handle for Grandmasters coming.
Probably another reason it attracted a lot of players is that it's relatively close to Sydney. So now that there's a big tournament in Parramatta, and that's designed to fit in with this one, international players can schedule their tournaments to play in both.
So that was our first vision, was to bring more Grandmasters over. The second vision was that if you're going to come and play for 4 days or 5 days, then it needs to be comfortable. And we wanted to take it to a point where we have one large room which can probably seat 300 players, maybe 350.
I think now this is the best they ever had here at the Hellenic Club, you know.
So that was the first criteria. The second was to have food on site, so that there's a lot of families who come along. And the ability to just wander down to the bistro and have a meal and never have to leave the club. Plus also to be able to sit outside in comfy chairs for parents while kids are playing inside.
In the beginning we had 20, 25, then you had 50, then you had 60, then you had 100.
Something like 145 players.
And then we had 155, we had about 158 or something, and then suddenly one year we had over 200. You know, bang, it suddenly happened.
By the time I left, we got 225, so that's 6 years ago. Now it's 250. So it's been sort of pushing up and up and up. And I'm looking forward to the day when the Doeberl Cup is sort of, you know, they can't find a venue big enough to hold it.
Even now they're doing a great job, you know, it gets bigger and bigger.
And then probably the third part in the structure, so we had the venue, we had the overseas players, and the other one was we then introduced an under 1200s tournament for kids who had an older sibling or a parent who was playing in the higher tournaments and they didn't want to spend 4 days sitting in a tournament hall, wanted to spend a couple of days around Canberra. And increasingly, a number of adults who see it as an entry, it's their first, rather than play 4 days of the minor, I'll just play 2 days of the under 1200s. And they were probably our 3 cornerstones: build GMs, get a better venue, and introduce an entry-level tournament for people.
Well, I feel like I've been coming to Canberra every Easter for most of my life. It's, I only occasionally have played the big Easter tournaments in Europe, and I keep coming back to the Doeberl Cup.
It's strategically located over Easter. It's a good time of year. People have enough free time, so they're not sort of busting their gut to play in the tournament, in the sense that they've got time to play and they don't have to sort of take big time off work or anything like that.
A number of people said, I remember David Smerden, who's one of our newest Grandmasters, said that the Doeberl Cup is like a great big family.
It's just a very, very pleasant place to meet up with old friends, and it's got a great social atmosphere.
One thing it's got that most of the other weekenders in Australia don't have is an extra day. So we get a bit more time for social life and catching up with people I don't usually see more than once a year or so.
The Doeberl Cup and chess in Australia is just synonymous now.
Something that brings people together from all over the country.
Yes, of course it's a great place and it's a great tournament, that's why they come back here. You know, it's the greatest tournament the country have in 1 year here.
And so that theme came through from several people, that part of their love of coming to the Doeberl Cup is meeting up with all old friends that they don't otherwise ever see.
The venue's changed, it's got more luxurious, the tournament's got stronger, it's got added features.
And the prize money increased gradually, you know. Probably sometimes you're on the Doeberl Cup, you think you could do things better. I asked for feedback, and I don't want to mention the name, and he said, Helmut, you're a very brave man to ask for feedbacks. And I had a great list about it, you know.
Cheerleading, free beer. We put out a suggestion sheet and got the usual comments back.
There's always things you can do better, you know, and we always try to do that, you know. Well, I try to do it with my committee, and we try to do the best we could, you know.
One of the things we always look to do is innovate and to actually try different things. And I'm a real big believer in, rather than punishing people for the behaviour you don't want, reward them for the behaviour you do want.
A couple of years ago, the tournament had an absolute rule against drawing before 30 moves.
If you have a draw by repetition in under 30 moves, that can be accepted under the 30 move rule. But of course then the arbiter has to decide whether one side or the other had genuine ability to play on.
There were two GMs playing each other, and they agreed a draw, and then the DOP said, no, you can't do that.
What we quickly realised was that we had to actually enforce this somehow or another.
At that stage, it was very controversial.
We had a number of people tell us, some of the grandmasters get quite forceful in saying, you can't tell me to play on, I'll take draws when I want to take draws, what are you going to do about it? And it just wasn't necessary.
So what happened after that was, because that generated so much difficulty for the DOPs and angst amongst players, they went to this new thing that exists now. Instead of forbidding the draws, they have the incentive of the fighting fund.
Arbiters have a hard enough job anyway, and you want arbitering to be as simple as possible. So we just took the arbiters out of the equation and left it to the players.
Any player who hasn't had a draw in under 30 moves and who wins one of their last round games on the top 4 or equivalent boards, then they get a special prize. They share $1,000 or something.
Interestingly for me, I feel a lot calmer about it. I feel like, you know, yeah, that's your choice. You now have a choice to make, and if you choose to take short draws, and then you're just not eligible for that fund, and that's fine. It just took all the angst out of it, and I think rewarded the behaviours we wanted without the arbiters having to be involved at all.
2007 was when O2C stepped in, and they've had to take some risks and take some losses to promote it the way they wanted to. They've done a great job.
Now when I look at the Doeberl Cup in the computer, it's just amazing, yeah? Page after page after page, everything.
That's 50 years now, and things went on, and I said to my wife this morning, I can't believe it.
It's a great honour for our name, the family name, to be involved.
I'm proud, you know. I'm not involved, I think now they're doing a great job, and I'm really proud of it, you know.
To be one of the best chess tournaments and to have grandmasters coming from all over the world, it's just fantastic. And I'm glad to be associated with it.